What's going on, everyone? How are you guys doing today? What I have for you today in this video is I want to talk to you guys about something that was very interesting that came up recently in regards to Apple and their older iPhones. So if you guys have seen what the pattern is like, especially if you're using an older device right now, and I would say possibly the iPhone 5 and lower, obviously those devices are not fully up to date. They're outdated. Therefore, the performance is very boggy, and not only that, it is drastically slow. There is a reason for that. This is because that Apple actually admits that they are the ones who are doing that on purpose. Now, why is that? Main reason is because from their point of view, they want to provide the best user experience no matter what device it is, no matter what the user interface it is, but also to provide a very good long-lasting battery life. So for instance, like the iPhones, I'd say most of the time, even with the iPhone 3G, for example, running on iOS 4.2.1, with that having that kind of update, it is drastically slow and laggy. But the battery life, I would say, is pretty long-lasting, more long-lasting than the newest generation iPod Touch at that time, which when the iPhone 3G, I would say, I guess when I used to use the iPhone 3G and the 4th generation iPod Touch was out, even the iPhone 3G lasted longer than that iPod Touch, surprisingly. Because I feel like the iPods have like a weaker battery compared to what the iPhones have. So I don't know if this statement is supposed to be going across all iOS devices or just the iPhones in general. If it's just the iPhones in general, I would say that is pretty accurate, because my iPhone 5, it is slow and laggy right now, but the battery life wasn't so bad until at some point it just decided to stop, and then all of a sudden decided to die a lot faster for no reason, and even drain the battery while charging. And what I ended up doing was I bought a dummy phone off of eBay just for practice, not on taking apart the iPhone 5, which I did, and I actually swapped the batteries between the two, and the battery life has drastically improved, and then it's just started to slow down again. Drain a lot faster, but I just haven't made the arrangements or time to replace that battery. However, if you're on an older iPhone, apparently the way you can correct your performance issues is to replace your battery. Now, why is that? Because obviously lithium-ion batteries, they have a certain lifespan where at some point they just start to deplete. Now, when they start depleting, they also bog down the performance of your phone, so that way your battery life stays lasting a lot longer. And there were reports from people who have swapped out the batteries for brand new ones that the performance of their older iPhones actually improved. So that leads the customer to a decision they have to make. Do they want to scrap their iPhone 5 and get a brand new iPhone 8, 10, whatever they prefer to choose? Or do they just want to get a new battery replacement, pay for somebody to either swap the battery, or maybe they do it themselves if they are a technician who can work on mobile smartphones? That leads a decision that the customer would have to make. Now, me personally, I wouldn't do that for a living. I would not want to do something like that all the time, because after seeing how it's done, after me doing it myself, the components are so small, I don't want to deal with it. I don't mind taking apart the bigger stuff like the computers, but for a mobile device, whether it's a tablet or a smartphone, count me out. I would not do such a thing like that all the time, unless if I drastically have to do that, then I'll be very careful with it, and then possibly buy like a used unit online that's like broken and just practice taking that one apart before I take my actual one apart. But Apple does admit the fact that they are slowing the phones down on purpose, and should they be doing something like this? To be honest, I would say yes and no at the same time. Like, obviously you want the user to have the best experience. However, to drastically slow it down is also not a good thing, because obviously the user needs to be able to use their phone properly, and with the fact that you're trying to make sure that they get the best battery life out of their phone with its current condition, but the fact that they can't open web pages properly or open applications properly, and just let it lag or slow and get sluggish. Not only that, affect the Wi-Fi radio and affect the call quality. That's also another reason why this may not be worth it. Is Apple continuing to do this? It looks like it, but it seems like the performance of the older iPhones have definitely improved since, I would say, the iPhone 5, because it's not laggy yet, but I would say like it's not too drastically laggy. That's what I meant to say. The animations still seem kind of smooth, and it looks like they may be able to continue to do that onward. I just don't see the point in like bogging down the performance when your battery's depleting, and then when you put a new battery in there, your performance improves, but it's not going to be to the latest speeds of the current iPhone out there. So I just find this a little odd at the same time. Part of me is 50-50 on this, and the more I think about it, the more I feel like I'm leaning towards the part where it's not worth it. Because let's say if it's the other way around, battery life does not affect the performance of the phone, and let's say if your battery starts to deplete at some point, there may be people who might feel like, okay, they put their phone on the charger, gave it a full charge overnight, and then they unplug it, start using the phone, it dies within 20 minutes. But they may feel like, you know what? The battery life is probably all I need to replace, but the performance is still great. It's still blazing fast. It's still animation smooth, so on and so forth. Therefore, they may just want to replace the battery. Now, you have a combination of both. Okay, the battery life sucks. Then you have poor performance. Then the customer or the user will be like, well, I might as well just replace the entire phone completely. And then that's how they're able to get the latest and greatest gadgets out there. Now, for some people, they may not want that. They don't care as long as they have a phone that works, that they can browse the web and do email. And for those that want to switch from a feature phone to a smartphone but don't want to do too much, older devices are completely fine for just internet and email. The more I think about it, like I said, the more I feel like this may not be worth it. I would say regardless of whatever the case may be, manufacturers should make sure that the devices are performing at its best, at its full capabilities, and battery life shouldn't be affecting it. Am I saying that this is possible? That I'm not sure. That's up to the folks who are into science, because if lithium ions can be made or programmed, however they're being made, to not have the performance affect its battery life, and the battery life should just be affected on how good of a lifespan it has on its own, that'd be great. But I can't say that it's impossible or it is impossible, because this sounds like a science question, and I'm not a science expert. Should this be possible? We just have to see how safe it is and all of that. Basically get into like the scientifics of trying to see whether it's a safe element or not, because lithium ion batteries can be dangerous, but that's all I know about it, and I don't know like the full characteristics of it. But what do you guys think about this? Do you guys think this is a good idea for Apple to be doing this? And do you think they're going to continue to do this going forward? I'd like to see what you guys have to say in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, comment. Also check out the description below for my social media links, Twitter and Instagram. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.